Whether you drive a car,
need a car,
or just occasionally bum a ride with friends,
you've come to the right place.
Join Jill and Tom as they break down everything that's going on in the auto world.
New car reviews,
Shopping tips,
driving green,
electric cars,
classic cars,
and plenty of great guests.
This is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom. Thanks for joining us this week. You know the drill. When you have a chance, check us out at consumerguide.com. Lots of funny stuff, lots of informative stuff, and our 2025 new car picks, our best buys are up there, so you want to check those out. Also, if you want to explore back episodes of the podcast, you can do that there, but you can do that anywhere, so you should just subscribe. Hey, Jill.
Hey, yeah.
That's Jill. Let me just get this out of the way. How you doing?
Tally number one. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. That is Jill Ciminillo, managing editor of Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, North American Car of the Year juror, and freelancer.
Yes.
Jill, bad news today.
Yes.
Jean Lindamood, later Jean Jennings, has died.
Yes.
People who don't know who she was part of the golden age of Car and Driver.
Yes.
Like when Car and Driver was totally the thing to read, and I was young and impressionable. She was writing there in the 80s. She went on and followed David E. Davis Jr. He had been the publisher there for a while. He started his own magazine called Automobile. Kind of controversial. He was a prickly fellow, but she was there and writing great stuff there as well. So Jean Jennings, very influential auto writer, very funny.
Yeah.
And most importantly, just a gifted writer.
She was... Yeah, she was incredibly gifted, and I've been in the industry for about 20 years, and everything has changed in the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
But at the time, there was Jean Jennings, Sue Mead, and Denise McCluggage, who were writing about cars, and that was about it.
Yeah, Denise wrapped up her career at Auto Week. She was famously prickly too, but if you knew her, she was great.
Yes.
Great writer, and then she knew a lot about motorsport.
Yeah.
Which I don't know the other two people we just mentioned were as into.
Right.
But Denise was also a driver.
Yeah.
So she was kind of a Renaissance woman, if you will. But we lost Denise a few years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, but we just lost Jean Lindamood, and that's a shame.
It is. She's certainly somebody I looked up to when I first started writing, and one of the things she was very well known for, and the picture we saw on the Media Professionals page is like her hats.
Yeah.
She had some amazing hats.
That came on later.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about her. She wrote a piece, though, a brilliant piece. Back in 1986, Philip Michael Thomas, one of the dudes from Miami Vice, got involved in a terrible venture where they were converting Firebirds into vehicles that looked like Ferrari 308s. God knows why they were doing that. And it cost so much to do it that it didn't seem to make, just go buy a used 308. None of it made any sense. And it could not be presented to her in a way that made sense. And that was basically the crux of her hilarious review of this situation. But one of the funniest things I ever read, automotive related.
Okay, we will have to find that if it's online anywhere and post it.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is, because it's too good not to be. So rest in peace, Jean Jennings. She was awesome.
She was awesome.
This is entirely off topic, but I was cruising around LinkedIn today, and I don't know why, but someone's paid. Maybe they paid to be on LinkedIn. I don't know who does that.
Okay.
But her thing popped up on my screen, and she lists herself as a Gen Z career coach, a content creator, and TikTok consultant.
Okay.
I did some checking. That translates to unemployed.
Okay.
What is any of that stuff?
I would call myself a content
she's got
creator.
7 followers. It's like you're not these things.
Yeah, no, and I would not say that I'm somebody you can consult about like TikTok or social media. Although I was a social media director, so I do have that under my belt.
I'm a social media director.
Did you actually have that title?
I could grant it to myself at any time.
Yeah, no, as the publisher, that doesn't work.
Oh. Later in the show.
Yes.
Our good friend, and it's been a while, friend Sam Fiorani, Vice President of Global Forecasting at AutoForecast Solutions, join us.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about some prickly stuff. I used prickly 3 times today.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about the tariffs.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about North American manufacturing, because I don't think people know how many cars are built here, or how important Mexico is to the U.S. market.
And Canada.
Yes, but a little less so.
Yeah.
I mean, they make a lot of cars in Mexico.
They do, like the Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah, they make an awful lot of cars in Canada, too.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. That story should be interesting. I had a revelation Saturday night.
Okay.
I was on with Steve and Johnny on WGN Radio in Chicago.
Okay.
Always a fun visit, and I got to pick the music again.
Of course.
So my choice was Jingle Bells Four Ways. So let me just say this. Count Basie and Duke Ellington do totally badass Jingle Bells versions.
Okay.
All right. But here's the thing I thought about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Every car, not every car, many cars, especially many affordable cars, have an eco mode.
Yeah.
Or an
I would say
mode.
that's fair or true. Yeah.
Here's the thing about that. Everything that it does to improve the fuel economy of a car would also make that car better in deep snow.
Yeah. I would concur with that statement.
Just go to econ mode.
Yeah.
Just do it. Because what it does is it softens throttle inputs. Basically, it's a nanny thing. So no matter how hard you press the pedal, it's going to regulate and smooth that out. It delays, actually, it accelerates upshift. So you're never producing so much torque that your front wheels are going to come loose. And there's some other things that it does that doesn't happen in every car, that don't happen in every car. But you could use that probably for a better deep snow driving experience.
Yeah.
And if you were listening right now in Atlanta, don't worry about it.
Well, you worry about it once every 3 or 4 years.
Yes. And that's the thing. If you watch the news in Chicago, every 4 or 5 years, they get 2 inches of snow in Atlanta, and everyone drives off the road.
Yeah. Well, they have no way to prep or whatever.
They don't plow.
They don't plow. They don't have salt. They don't have
Very few
sand.
people have all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Like front-wheel drive is far more common in that in that market. So, all right. We were going to go back.
Yeah.
I've got lots of stuff here to talk. Maybe we'll get to it later.
Okay.
Lots of stuff.
Okay.
But we were going to get back to the Charger thing.
Yeah.
I forgot you couldn't talk about the drive experience.
Yes.
So the car sucks?
Yeah, the car sucks. No, the car is actually pretty awesome. And,
I forgot to say something last week, and I'm sorry to cut you out.
Are you sorry?
Not really.
Yeah.
It's great looking.
Yeah, it is.
And the rear 3/4 shot of the white vehicle that you shared with me on our website on consumerguide.com, that's good looking.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, no, so they used the 1968 Dodge Charger as the model for this vehicle in terms of design, so 2-door. And it is very, very attractive and all electric now. And I was stunned at how good this is. We were driving both the RT and the Scat Back. So you have, I think it was 496 horsepower and 670 something horsepower. Yeah, a bunch of horsepower. And we should clarify that is up to those horsepower ratings because because it's an EV, it has something they call power shot. So you hit that button and it takes you up to those horsepower ratings for a certain amount of time. So generally you only have, I think it was 40 horsepower less, so 450.
That particular feature is exclusive to the Charger.
Yeah.
Some other manufacturers do, like the Alfa Romeo.
Well, I don't know about the Alfa, but
doesn't the
Genesis
Denali have
has
a power boost?
I don't know. The Genesis has a power boost.
Okay.
But so the numbers that you're hearing,
silly.
But the numbers you're hearing, so 496, at 670, whatever, are actually inflated numbers. And I can't remember if I made that clear in my article or not, but just a heads up on that. So it's 640 and 730 or 630. So at any rate, but I thought that the RT version actually was pretty phenomenal. And
that's the faster version.
No,
that's the base version.
That's the base version.
Okay.
And, that's going to cost you $60,000. So that's the base. You're going to add about $10,000, $15,000 more if you want to go up to the Scat Pack. But one of the things that the Scat Pack does that is really cool is they've added...
Are these both all-wheel drive?
All-wheel drive.
Okay, so you're getting 2 motors.
Yes.
Both are 2 motors, front and rear axle. Okay.
And one of the cool things they've done with the Scat Pack is they've added drag strip and track and sport modes, which in addition to and a drift and donut mode. And so in addition to being able to drift the car or, do drag things, you can go on a track and it changes the Fratsonic exhaust sound based on what you're doing with the vehicle.
We should talk about Fratsonic or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The Fratsog.
Yes.
is a symbol that was used, a badge that was used way back when in the 60s and into the early 70s.
Yeah.
And I've got a story about that, and I'll share that in our show notes. So that's what they're basing this on, but it was on their Dodge performance cars.
Yes.
The Fratzog.
The Fratzog.
Yeah.
So that's the new Dodge symbol that you're seeing. It's kind of like this tri-pointed thing.
It looks Klingon.
Yes, it does look a little bit alien. But the Fratzonic exhaust essentially uses sound amplifiers to filter the sound in different places. And when you put it into drag mode or sport mode or track mode, I'll be darned if you didn't feel the vibration of the pedal like you would in a V8 engine. It was very weird. It was very weird.
As cool and as weird as this all is, it all seems very silly to me. I think that if you're going to go electric, you embrace electric.
Well, yes and no.
Because fast in a dead silent car is eerie, and it's an entirely different experience, and it's almost more frightening.
But you can turn it all off. If you don't want to hear it, you can turn it all off.
Yeah, still a waste of engineering input, but yeah.
But it's cool
so
for the people who want it.
you can turn it completely off.
You can turn it completely off. Except for the only thing that you can't turn off is the AVAS sounding, the acoustic vehicle alert sound. And that's the sound that all electric vehicles need to have when you're driving less than, I think it's 18 miles per hour on a surface street. They want you to have a sound for people who might be visually impaired. Might be
vision impaired, or they might be idiots just looking at their phones.
That is also true.
Who seem to die at a very great rate these days.
Yes. So I don't know. But the other thing that I wanted to mention about this, you brought up the word prickly 3 other times. So I'm going to. I've
only asked you how you were once, but we've used prickly 4 times. Now 5.
Now 5. I'm bringing prickly back.
That's 6. We're done now.
Because the comments that I've been getting, like on my video and the social media I've put out, have been, and I'm going to say it again, prickly. And people are very upset about making this muscle car an electric vehicle. They're very upset that even when the gas versions come out, it's not going to have a Hemi V8. And I've seen a lot of comments saying, well, now that Tim Kuniskis is back, the V8 is going to be back.
There's a lot of things funny about that. A lot of things. And we talked about that last week. Tim Kuniskis had retired from Stellantis and came back after Carlos Tavares retired, air quotes. Yes. And he's probably the right guy to get Ram back on track. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about Ram later, maybe get someone on the show to talk about Ram. But what makes a car fast shouldn't be the most important thing about a car. It should be the net result, which is the drive experience and how fast it is. Yeah. And these new cars are faster
than the V8s.
Than anything Hemi-powered ever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Additionally, and we've talked about this before, horsepower when you're describing and discussing an electric vehicle is a bit misleading. Mm. First of all, as you noted, it can be overstated because sometimes the boost is temporary. Mm-hmm. But additionally, immediate response.
The torque.
You're not waiting for gear changes. You're not waiting for power to get to the rear wheels. Cars are fast. I just got out of the BMW i5, which is the electric version of the BMW 5 Series. This is a vehicle that I liked far more than I anticipated liking.
Right.
Rear drive, just 335 horsepower. One motor, 335 horsepower is nothing for BMW these days. This car felt incredible. The throttle response was incredible. It was quick off the line, all sorts of passing and merging power. Mm-hmm. And it was also smooth and silky and quiet, and it was just fantastic.
Right.
So I get a little weird about horsepower numbers in electric cars, and then people who have never driven an electric car hating electric cars.
Yeah. I mean, it was just astounding to me. And I don't know. I thought it was a little bit weird. But the other thing I want to say, the other benefit I want to say of an electric vehicle, because I am perpetually cold, when you get into an electric vehicle, the HVAC system is pretty much instantaneous as well.
I want to talk about this next show. Our contact at Ford, Rhonda, sent me an email. Maybe she sent it to you too. EV driving tips for the winter. Did you see this?
She sent it out Actually, it was like she sent it out 2 years ago, and it was based on me, actually, and my bad experience that I had in the F-150 Lightning.
Well, this is a very nicely put together thing, and we can share because it is public facing now.
Yeah.
But one of the things about that is if you have an EV at home, and we could talk more about this.
Yeah.
It's in my notes someplace, actually, to talk about this, but my notes, as you know, are a mess.
They are. We're blaming your printer.
But you can actually have your car ready and waiting for you,
pre-warm
fully heated or cooled.
Yeah.
Using your wall outlet power, not battery power.
Yep. And so you like can pre-warm your vehicle via the app and
exchange your engine. There's a lot more to talk about there.
Yeah,
But
there
anyway,
really is.
the big
Huge
thing
benefit of EVs.
here to talk about is there's no reason why Dodge, as the market for these cars is going to decline, and to some extent this reworking of the Dodge Charger reflects their anticipation that this segment is shrinking. There's no reason the V8 engine would ever come back just for this car. No. However, we have speculated and to some extent have confirmed that the Ram pickup is selling poorly to some extent because it doesn't have a V8 anymore.
I don't know that we've confirmed that.
I've heard it.
Okay.
No one from Ram has called me up and said, "Yep, that's the problem." That hasn't happened.
I think it's selling poorly because the 2025s aren't out yet.
They're in the pipeline.
They're trickling. So, like my boss, Tim Estradal at Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, ordered a Ram RHO like back when it first came out, and he is still waiting on it.
Yeah, the RHO might be a low priority. They got to get volume stuff into stores.
But I'm just saying, like that they are. The pipeline is trickling.
But as you had mentioned before we went on air, any return of the V8, the Hemi engine, would be predicated on the ability for Stellantis to build them, and we don't know where they are in moving on.
Yeah.
From that, there's almost no V8s left now. There's still one in the Durango, and that's probably just crates at the factory because they sell so few Durangos.
Yeah.
And they're obviously in the medium duty trucks. The 6.4 liter gas engine is still the base engine there, although almost everyone buys the very expensive but incredibly capable
diesel
Cummins diesel.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, Charger. You've driven gasoline-powered versions. You've driven the Red Eye. What was that, 700 and some horsepower?
I think it was
Red
707.
That was a bunch of horsepower.
It was a bunch.
Which did you prefer?
You know, apparently a very unpopular opinion, but I preferred the EV.
Yeah.
I like the looks. I like how it drives. And even though the Fratsonic exhaust is a little bit kitschy and campy, I loved it.
Here's another thing that might appeal to enthusiasts, especially a category of people you refer to as wrenchers.
Yes.
Though there wouldn't be much wrenching here.
No wrenching.
Because a vehicle is electric and because it is software driven and because any sort of modifications to that vehicle would not affect emissions, future downloadable things, obviously for money, can improve your horsepower over time.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible that something called the Scat Pack plus Scat Pack 2 or something like that would be a downloadable package for $1,100 to get you 70 more horsepower.
Yeah.
Or something. And we've already seen this at Mercedes-Benz and BMW where you can download a little extra power, which could be fun.
Yeah.
You know, to download these packages and see how they work and stuff like that. And that's stuff that's going to happen. You couldn't really do that easily with a gasoline-powered vehicle.
No, you could not.
And the factory couldn't really condone those changes in most cases because of emissions.
Right.
So, all right, that bad boy goes on sale when?
They are expecting them to be on sale before the end of the year. So we'll see.
So 3 of them will end up at a dealership in Tacoma sometime around the 30th.
Right.
Okay. But they should roll out pretty quickly in the first quarter.
They should.
And then there's a gasoline version to follow up, not called Daytona.
No. It's called the 6-pack.
Called the 6-pack, and that's going to be powered by the new Hurricane inline 6-cylinder engine, which, by the way, is excellent.
Yeah, and they'll have high power and standard horsepower options.
And when do those go on sale?
Later.
And you didn't drive those?
I did not. So okay. I think they're looking at mid-2025, so I imagine they'll probably do another drive program for those.
All right. So the electrification of the muscle car is here.
Yep.
We do know, and even Ford's making stuff available for this, that people are electrifying classic cars. Very controversial.
Yes.
To pull those
I've
engines.
seen Broncos. Yeah.
You
electrified.
know, we were talking, like Volkswagen's launching Scout. But if you're in old international trucks at this point in time, half a century later, finding engine parts,
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't 3D print everything. And converting those to an electric motor has got to be tempting. All right. We're going to take a break and talk to our good friend Sam Fiorani of AutoForecast Solutions. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
Yes.
And North American production.
Yes.
And all sorts of heavy topics.
Yes.
All right. We'll be right back.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, we're back. I'm Tom. She's Jill. This is the Car Stuff Podcast for the second time. Jill, how you doing?
What was the word we weren't supposed to say?
Prickly.
Prickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you prickly today?
No, I'm like tired. I've been sick for like 2 weeks now. I've been fighting this cold, and I've had to travel, so I haven't had the chance to like sleep and really like catch up on my life and stop feeling poorly.
I don't want to be whining, but I've had a lot of stuff going on in my life too, and it just seems like I can never actually get in a full night's sleep.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Well, you don't sleep.
Sunday, I slept till 1:30.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, you must have needed it.
That's what I figured because I didn't wake up before. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird. Help me out here, Jill.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you do the thing.
Yes.
You do the thing.
That was enough. I'll run with that.
All right, run with it.
I am on Twitter and I'm on Blue Sky.
Yes.
I know I'm not supposed to be on both, but I am.
Are you not supposed to be on both?
I don't know. There's huge political undertones.
Psst,
I don't
whatever.
know. Anyway, I am Car Guy Tom on both.
Okay.
I found some really good Car Spotter stuff Saturday.
Okay.
Including a Jensen Interceptor that was in terrible shape and it's making people cry. But for people who don't remember this was a British car. Dominic Infante owns one.
Yes.
He collects cars. He's our Subaru guy.
Yes.
And he collects cars. He's got beautiful cars.
Yeah.
But he has an Interceptor. This one's in terrible shape. But they were British cars stuffed full of big Chrysler V8s. Very cool cars.
Okay.
All right. Congratulations, Joe.
No, congratulations to you.
Thank you. We were nominated again to be one of FeedSpot's top 10 automotive podcasts.
Yay.
So there you have it. Even though I keep saying "so there you have it" all the time,
so there you have it.
We still were selected to be.
And
in
you
the top
use words
10.
like prickly.
And yes.
And you ask me like how I am all the time.
Right. So just cliche packed.
Yeah.
So the information in between the cliches probably pretty solid.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the good news is we apparently, like, according to our reviews, we have good chemistry.
Which is strange.
Because we don't like each other. No, I'm kidding.
Given the intense dislike we have for each other.
Yeah, the intense, like, we've known each other for way too long at this point.
It now rounds to almost 30 years.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because I met you probably in 2002 or 3.
That does not round up.
Yeah, kind of.
No, it rounds down to 20.
When you're my age, everything rounds to 30 years.
No.
But I blew off my 40th high school reunion.
Oh?
So that's a big number.
Okay.
So after 40, everything just sort of rounds up.
Yeah, and I should point out I met you when I was like 6.
Yes, and I was 12.
Uh-huh.
Oh, man. All right. On the phone with us. It's been a long time. Our good friend Sam Fiorani with AutoForecast Solutions. Sam, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
We are good. It's been a while. We apologize for that. It's at the point now where we absolutely have to just schedule you on purpose in advance, just because people are knocking on our door to be on the show.
I understand that. You're very in demand at the moment.
It's weird. It's weird. We get really bad pitches too.
Yeah.
We should share some of those sometimes because they're not shows we would do. Sam, tell us about AutoForecast Solutions.
AutoForecast Solutions provides analytical and forecasting services to the automotive industry. We provide by vehicle, by plant forecasts by month, going out to 2031 and shortly to 2032.
The depth of your knowledge is made clear by how often I hear you quoted. And I listened to Autoline and I listened to Automotive News Daily Drive. And there isn't a day that goes by I don't hear Sam Fiorani quoted. So clearly you are respected in the industry. Sam, I wanted to talk to you today, if you don't mind, about something I think most Americans don't know about and is about to become big news. Mm-hmm. And that is the NAFTA/USMCA agreement and why that's in so much peril now.
Well, the president-elect is threatening tariffs against Canada and Mexico, the two countries the U.S. has a free trade agreement with. And the idea that a tariff could go on top of the free trade is possible. We've looked into it, and there are avenues that can be taken to do it. But it usually has to be with national security in mind. And the issue is that Canada and Mexico are friendly to us. It's very difficult to point that out. And the idea that that it's because of the borders and the potential of allowing foreigners to come, not Canadians and not Mexicans coming in through those borders, is the issue that's being proposed.
So we're talking about something entirely different from the auto industry then, right? Because nothing has changed since the USMCA was cemented, right? Our relationship with Canada is good. Our relationship with Mexico is good. And there hasn't been anything that happened automotively to compromise generally that good relationship.
No, but the idea that batteries or electric vehicles or parts from vehicles are being, or entire vehicles are being sourced from, in particular, Mexico, at a lower cost than if they were built in the United States is the problem, and the problem that's attempting to be addressed here.
So I wanted to get to some bare bones stuff, if you don't mind, and please bear with me. I did my own checking, and I don't know how good these numbers are, but the United States itself, in the contiguous 48 states, we build about 8 million cars a year, and then Mexico builds something like 3 or 4 million cars a year, and then Canada builds up to 2 million cars a year. Does that feel about right?
Well, the Canadian number is a little old at the moment because they've got a couple plants that are down.
Okay.
But the total production in North America is around 16 million units.
So we're producing about 60 million units, and then the U.S. consumes about 16 million cars. So NAFTA, USMCA, we're net importers of vehicles. Is that true?
We are, yes. We do export some vehicles from here, but we do produce about 2/3 of the vehicles that are consumed in North America, in the United States.
And then the vehicles we import, are those mostly from, Japan and Western Europe, I suppose?
Most of the vehicles we imported to the U.S. come from Canada and Mexico.
Okay. And then if we go overseas, then Japan's the big supplier?
Japan and Korea would be next in line.
Okay, gotcha. All right, I'm just trying to get this straight. And the tariff that those guys pay, right now there's no tariff on anything that goes between the three USMCA countries. Everything else is tariffed at 2.5% except for certain trucks because of something called the chicken tax.
Oh, we love the chicken tax.
Yeah.
A 25% tariff on all imported trucks.
Which is why we don't get the cool toys.
Right. And every time one of these YouTube channel comes up and says they're going to import this pickup truck, it's pretty much bogus information because it's just too expensive to import them.
Yeah, because what we've seen the Volkswagen Amarok and with the new Tia, is it the Tasman? Yeah, those are like two pickup trucks that look really cool that we will never see here.
Yeah.
Right. Unless they decide to build a plant or an entire assembly line for a body-on-frame production, it's unlikely we will ever see those vehicles.
Interesting. And who does the chicken tax apply to? What nations?
Everybody.
Oh,
it's,
great.
everybody outside of USMCA.
Okay.
The idea behind it was to prevent, it was in retaliation to a tax on frozen chickens going to Europe about 60 years ago.
So talk about holding a grudge.
Yeah.
I do remember a story. I'm sure you know this story, Sam. What was it, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? Ford was importing certain Transit Connects that it had removed the seats from and was reinstalling them at the port to try to get around the chicken tax. And they were totally busted for that, right?
It was actually the other way around. They were bringing them in as wagons.
Oh, okay.
And then taking the seats out and taking the glass out, putting in panels, and shipping them out as vans that were technically assembled in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
But Ford wasn't alone. Ford did that. Mercedes did that, and the ProMaster City, was also done that way.
That's hilarious.
And these were all affected by the chicken tax because they're body-on-frame construction. Is that correct?
It's that they're commercial vehicles.
Okay, commercial.
So let's talk about this tariff too. Now, a lot of people are saying, and it seems increasingly likely that Donald Trump is bluffing about applying the 25% tax.
Wait, bluffing?
Bluffing.
Okay.
But what if he's not? What is the immediate impact, and then what is the midterm impact of 25% tariffs on vehicles imported from Canada and Mexico?
So many major manufacturers rely on production or parts from Mexico and Canada that it would disrupt the industry dramatically on day one. You look at a company like Toyota that builds all its Tacomas in Mexico. So we're talking, 200,000 vehicles that come from Mexico and are core to Toyota's sales in the U.S. We also have all kinds of parts. Look at a Moroni sticker for any vehicle, and you'll see a number on there for how much of that vehicle comes from Mexico. That number right there crosses the border at least once as a part, and in some cases could go back and forth a few times.
Right.
So that's adding cost to all those parts. It will affect every manufacturer in North America pretty quickly.
In the case of the Tacoma, which I think is an excellent example, best-selling vehicle in the segment, immediate disruption. All of a sudden, you can't get these vehicles. People are going to be trying to get other.
Well, you could get the vehicle, but it's going to cost like $3,500 to $10,000 more.
Which I think might finally be too much.
If they think it's affordable enough to bring it in, even with that tariff, then it would cost you likely $5,000 more.
There was another tariff, and this one's real and already put into place, but Joe Biden imposed a 100% tariff on EVs built in China. A thing which pretty much doesn't exist unless you're Volvo.
Yeah.
What has happened to Volvo and what has happened to Polestar, the Volvo companion company? Are they working on workarounds? Are they going to give up? Or are they going to kill some models? How is this going to affect those vehicles? The
original way they were bringing those vehicles in, because there was a tariff already before the 100% one, was that the tariffs on vehicles going out of the country, the value of vehicles going out of the country was offset by the vehicles coming in, so they could get around it before the 100%. Once they got to that level, it pushes them out of the price range, and so we can't get a Volvo EX30 in here.
Yeah.
The Polestar 2 is too expensive. There are all kinds of vehicles that they're having to cut back sales on because it's just not affordable. The next Polestar 3 is already in production in the United States, so that will help. But you still can't get a Polestar 2 at a reasonable price coming into the country. It is a big problem for just that one manufacturer.
Speaking of Volvo assembly in the United States, the South Carolina plant is relatively small. I think it has a maximum capacity of maybe 200,000 units. Is Volvo just going to top that out? And would they ever have enough export value to offset everything they want to import?
They were building the S60 sedan, and now they've decided to build the Polestar 3 and the Volvo EX90.
Okay.
The EX90 is potentially a good export product. The Polestar 3 is also being built elsewhere around the world, so that would likely come from somewhere else. But there could be exports from there once they get that plant up and running and near good volume.
I want to go back to the EX30 a second, because I feel like there's a couple of things that they're like. I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard that Volvo was going to bring it to the United States anyway with the tariff. And then I do know they're also working on a new plant in Belgium so that they can get around the tax from China. I mean, is any of that true?
No, all of it.
Okay.
The early sales of the EX30 already happened.
Okay.
And they had to come from China because that's the only plant building them. Mm-hmm. They have since stopped sales. If you look at the numbers, they only existed for a month or two.
Okay.
And then went to zero. The plant that Volvo has in Belgium is being tooled up for EX30s, and that will raise the price because the cost coming from China was so much less that European production will make them more expensive, and that was the selling point of the EX30.
Yeah, we should probably address that. The EX30, a subcompact crossover from Volvo, was a Volvo product that was going to sell EV for about $35,000. It was going to be a value revelation.
I think it was going to be $30,000. Yeah. It was going to be less than,
An extremely great value.
Yeah.
And that value came from Chinese manufacturing. Mm-hmm. This Belgium thing, as Sam just mentioned, is going to increase the price dramatically.
Yeah.
Sam, real quick, speaking of manufacturing costs, can we just address real quickly the labor costs of building in the U.S. versus Canada versus Mexico, and why a manufacturer would want to build a car in Canada or Mexico?
Canada, the cost, the labor cost itself isn't that much different, but Canada has nationalized healthcare, which makes that a bit easier over the labor in U.S. In Mexico, labor is less expensive. And the idea of originally NAFTA and then USMCA was to bring up the level of the cost of living, the status of workers in Mexico, so that they would buy things that came from the US and Canada. It was the whole idea of free trade, was to bring them up to a place where they would buy imported parts or imported things from the other two countries. Their level of living has raised over the USMCA over the last 30 years, but putting any interruption in that will delay that growth from the citizens of Mexico.
As a consumer and as someone who's got kind of a pro-USA, rah-rah, go America kind of thing going, should I be concerned about the impact on the U.S. economy by vehicles built in Mexico?
Not entirely, no, because the vehicles that we get from Mexico, for the most part, are less expensive. And the vehicles that are built in the United States are $70,000 F-Series, Ram trucks, Durangos, Jeeps, a lot of vehicles that cost a lot more. We're paying for workers building these vehicles here. It takes more workers to build them in Mexico, but they get paid less. When you factor in these things, that's why we build Nissan Sentras in Mexico. That's why we build the Ford Maverick, vehicles that cost less and require some sort of cost cutting in order to sell them at a reasonable price in the U.S.
Interesting. We're running out of time here, Sam, but real quick, what is it we should be watching for in the next couple of weeks? Well,
the promises of these tariffs, like you said, it could be bluster, but in the first few days, we'll likely hear the progress towards either making those tariffs a reality or negotiating with those countries, which is probably the more likely outcome of that.
Well, we will have to keep in touch and talk about this probably early next year.
I'll be here.
All right. Sam, tell us what's going on at the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles.
There's always something great going on. If you're in Eastern Pennsylvania, you should definitely stop by and see our collection of electric vehicles and Pennsylvania-built vehicles. We've always got a new display in the lobby coming, and we've got many surprises coming up this year. We can't wait to show everybody.
Have you and Kendra fired up the webcast again?
We are trying to. She and I have jobs outside of our webcast, so we're trying to do that desperately.
All right. Sam, it has been a pleasure talking to you. And thank you for all you do for our podcast every year. We will talk to you next year. Merry Christmas. Remind us real quick, how can people check out what you do?
Definitely check us out at AutoForecastSolutions.com. Check us out on Twitter. Follow me on Blue Sky because I'm competing with Jill and Tom.
Yeah.
And we are on LinkedIn if you're in the industry and want to find out more.
Sam, happy holidays. Thank you.
Happy holidays to you too.
All right. That was Sam Fiorani with AutoForecast Solutions. We're going to take a break. And when we come back...
Quiz time.
Quiz time.
Questions or comments?
Drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.
That's carstuff@consumerguide.com. Welcome back to the Car Stuff Podcast.
All right, this is the Consumer Guide Car Stuff Podcast. I'm Tom, she's Jill, and it's quiz time.
Not yet.
Not quite yet.
I've been trying to distract you with cat videos of cute kittens.
As I've noted, and I don't know if I've noted this on here, Facebook Reels only shows me pictures of boat accidents and people being horrible to each other. Oh, and I'm getting some dash cam stuff in which I'm certain people die. Like, I don't really want to see this in the middle of the day.
And yet I get a whole bunch of cute cat videos. I was just sharing one of cats in snow.
I get cat pictures from my mother, who's now fostering cats.
Okay, so I need to at least once a week post a cat reel on your Facebook page, is what I'm hearing you say.
All right, you wanted to talk about social media.
Yes, it is, of course, my turn.
Uh-huh.
So I am on all the things. All the things. That needs to be a social media platform, all the things.
Or Tom Chat.
No, not Tom Chat.
Oh.
But I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, I still can't call it X. I'm on all the things.
Yeah.
And you can find me at Jill Ciminillo, and it's hashtag car du jour if you can't spell
As
Ciminillo.
Sam just noted, he's now in the contest. I don't know where he's at.
He's elected himself into the contest?
Yeah, I need to check where he's at.
Let's see. If I can get away from the cute cat reel.
Are you checking?
I'll check.
Because this is exciting radio.
It is totally exciting radio. I mean, he's got a ways to go.
What's he got?
He's got 16 followers.
All right. Yeah.
So you know what?
He's got more now.
We'll throw him into the mix.
Okay.
samfiorani.bluesky.social. It'll be BKSY, whatever, at .social. But follow Sam as well, because he has good insights.
All right. We're a long way from lunch.
No, I actually just had my lunch.
I meant the free lunch that you're going to owe me.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I just had my chili
All right.
from Wendy's.
It's quiz time.
Yes.
You want to pick, or you want me to just pick? I have two quizzes here.
You pick.
All right. I have electric lies, ! Or was it a Hyundai? Do you have a feel?
Let's go with was it a Hyundai?
Was it a Hyundai?
Yeah.
All right.
I said you could pick, and then I picked.
All right. Next week, we'll do electric lies.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? This is quiz 253, although it's not because they're out of order. This is actually quiz 252. Was it a Hyundai? I'm just going to give you a model.
Okay.
You have to tell me if it was ever a Hyundai. These are all U.S. market.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yep.
The Scoop. Scoupe, the Scoop. Was it a Hyundai?
I'm going to say no.
It was.
Ugh.
It was a kind of a fastbacky coupe version of the Excel. It was Hyundai's first ever turbo. Came on the market in 1995. It was kind of a piece of crap.
Okay.
But it was good looking. It was kind of the first good looking Hyundai.
Okay, because I will say, Hyundais at the beginning were not great.
No, they were terrible.
They were terrible, but they're good now.
Well, that's the thing. We can totally rip on old Hyundais now because it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like, once someone's lost weight, you can make fun of them for having been chubby.
Can you?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
No, you can't.
Probably not.
No, never.
Was it a Hyundai? The Monza. Monza. Oh, wait, you have 1 point.
No, I don't have
Oh,
a
no,
point.
you don't have. You have no points.
I have no points. I'm not going to do well on this quiz. I feel like Monza was something, but was it a Hyundai? I'm going to say no.
It was not. It was a Chevy. It replaced the Vega, and at one point was meant to house a rotary engine. That didn't happen.
Okay.
All right, you have 1 point.
Yay!
A Chevy Monza. My grandmother had a Monza wagon. It was red with red interior. It was not a good car, but it looked good.
Okay.
All right. The Excel.
Oh. I know I'm going to, I was going to immediately say yes. How do you spell it?
EXCEL.
Now I'm, tripping myself up. I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. I actually just mentioned it.
I know. I was just
because the Scoop was based on the Excel architecture.
Right.
Yes.
I was immediately going to say yes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, he's doing something to mess with me.
The first version was 1986, 1989, and that was the original terrible, terrible car. They rusted. They were awful. They needed to be recalled. They were brutal. All right, you have 2 points.
Woo! And I've almost won then.
Yeah, you've almost won. The Achieva.
Achieva. No.
Nope, that was an Oldsmobile. That was, Sam's going to correct me if I'm wrong on this. I believe that was the N-body architecture.
Okay.
It was like the same car as the Beretta at Chevy.
Oh, which my mother had a Beretta.
The Corsica. It became the Alero later in life.
Okay.
All right.
Woohoo, I won.
Yeah, you won. You've got 3. The 929. Hyundai 929.
I feel like they had weird number things for a while, but Saab did more of the 929, 939, or whatever weird things like that.
I'm trying to remember what their large mid-sized luxury thing was. It called the XL350? But that's not this.
No. I'm gonna say no.
No, the 929 was a Mazda.
Okay.
It was a big rear-drive Mazda. It was sort of like a Toyota Cressida or a Nissan Maxima. But no, that was not a not a Hyundai. All right, you have 3 points. No, 4 points.
4 points.
You have 4 points. Good
Woo-hoo.
job. All right, this one's this should be easy for you. Ready?
Which means it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, bonus question. The bonus question always related to the topic of the day.
Yes, always.
All right. German names for Santa Claus.
Okay.
I'm going to read you 4 names.
Okay.
The Santa Claus thing's a little loose. St. Nick, that guy.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
You just need to tell me which one of them is not a German name for that guy.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Der Weihnachtsmann.
Okay.
Heiliger Nicholas, Christkind,
Okay.
or Herr Gegenhuber. Der Weihnachtsmann, Heiliger Nicholas, Christkind, or Herr Gegenhuber.
Okay, so the middle 2, I'm going to say are definitely yes.
Christkind you're buying and Heiliger Nicholas you're buying?
Yeah.
They do sort of have that in the name.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, because they have like Chris Kindle Market and things like that, you know. Read the first one and the last one again.
Der Weihnachtsmann, Herr Gegenhuber.
Read the first one again.
Der Weihnachtsmann. Weihnachtsmann.
I don't speak German at all. And,
Apparently, I don't speak it very well.
well, but there's just something very, I don't know, not like very common about using hair.
Uh-huh.
Because I feel like,
If you have too much hair, you use an epilady.
Well, isn't that like Mr.?
Yes.
So that just seems very common to me. So I'm gonna go with the last one.
That's the fake?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gegenhuber was actually a guy I knew in high school. So you are correct. All the rest are... Weihnachtsmann literally means Christmas guy.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. What? So go through what they mean.
I don't know. Der Weihnachtsmann is the Christmas guy. Heiliger Nicholas, which would mean high or... not high, but elevated or cool or exalted.
Okay.
Exalted, that's the word I
Okay.
should have gone for 4 words ago.
Okay.
Christkind is really Christ's child, and so there you have it.
Okay.
All right. Good job. I'm
Yeah, I
going to
was like, you
autograph
can't
this.
give me like foreign words and then not tell me what they are translated to.
Well, I can if I don't know.
No, well, you got to figure that stuff out. You got to
All
figure
right.
that out before you give me the quiz.
I have a list here.
Okay.
I have a list here. We have a little time. I want to talk about this list.
Okay.
As you know, and listeners of the show know, electric vehicle sales tend to trail reported sales of other vehicles because Tesla does not release numbers, so we wait for aggregate data from car registrations.
Mm-hmm.
So I have October numbers here,
Okay.
and they're interesting. And I think we know this, but there's some trends.
Okay.
One of them is that Tesla still rules the roost, and in October sold 45,000 vehicles.
Okay.
Big deal.
Yes.
But that's not nearly as big as it used to be, and its market share has slipped comfortably under 50%.
And all Tesla sells are electric vehicles.
Right.
So selling 45,000 vehicles total?
Well, that's all their vehicles.
Exactly.
It's still a lot of vehicles, though.
That's a lot of vehicles, but...
But do you know who the number 2, and this is brand, not manufacturer, the number 2 brand is? This is interesting because it's kind of out of the blue. We knew it was going to happen.
Let's see. I mean, I don't think it's Chevrolet because, Chevrolet's been selling them for a while, and I don't think it's Nissan because, well, Nissan. Ford.
Nope. Ford is third.
Okay.
It is Chevy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You said it was out of the blue. I'm like, that's not out of the blue.
Well, it's out of the blue because we're seeing the traction now being made by.
But I mean, they have like they're not selling the Bolt anymore, but they've got the Blazer, they've got the Equinox,
well,
they've got the
Equinox EV is the big deal.
Yeah, they've got the Sierra, they've got the Silverado, they've got the Hummer EV, they've got
Well, not
lots
Sierra.
of
This is
vehicles.
Chevrolet, not GM.
Oh, Chevrolet. Okay.
Yeah, but the Equinox is catching on. I think the
Okay.
Blazer EV is starting to sell well. Also, I think we're finally starting to see regular production of the Silverado.
Yeah, I mean
EV.
that was out last year technically.
But they didn't really produce them. And they still haven't gone to full production in a new factory.
Right.
So Ford is next. Ford sells a lot of e-Transits,
Okay.
which are electrified versions of their Transit big delivery van. People see these things. They probably don't know they're electric.
Okay.
Next is Hyundai. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, Hyundai doesn't qualify for a lot of the tax credits unless you lease.
Yes.
But the Ioniq 5 is a very nice vehicle. The Ioniq 6 is nice. And what's the big thing they just launched? The Ioniq.
The Ioniq 9.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So, and it might be a moneymaker for them too. This one's a big deal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Honda. One vehicle, out of nowhere, the Prologue, which is built by GM for them.
Because it has Apple CarPlay.
I doubt that.
No, it's totally it. That's why it's rising.
I doubt that. But it's interesting because the Prologue is not inexpensive. So Honda's take on this vehicle, have you driven the Prologue?
I have.
Does the Prologue feel to you especially different from the Blazer EV?
So I haven't really driven the Blazer EV.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it doesn't, the interior looks very General Motors-esque.
Does it?
Yes.
So they didn't change too much. Now, they can do a lot. A manufacturer, even when they put vehicles next to each other, like Toyota builds the Subaru Solterra on the same assembly line using the same architecture as the BZ4X, which is sold in the U.S., but the chassis tuning is distinct. Manufacturers can do a lot with that, and I think that may be happening here, and it's possible that the Prologue is just a little more Honda-like and just a little more sporty.
Could be.
Because it's a little expensive. Also, Acura's on the list here, the ZDX. It's down the list, but the ZDX is basically their take on that same architecture.
Yep.
So Acura now has an electric vehicle.
Yep.
So Toyota is not on the list. So, but I mentioned that only because they have the one vehicle came to the market, but the ZDX came out of nowhere, doing well. So also on the list, Kia, BMW. I mentioned I just drove the i5, which is an electric version of the 5 Series. Spectacular. Expensive, but not super expensive.
Okay.
It's worth looking at. Mercedes-Benz is on the list. Rivian, Cadillac. Cadillac is interesting because they have just the one car. They're selling 2,500 of those a month now.
Okay.
And they've got 2 more EVs coming.
Eventually.
Is Cadillac like the EV brand of the future?
Maybe. The IQ, it looks really cool. I can't wait to get...
We were supposed to get that.
Yeah.
After we got the Lyriq, and then the phone lines went dead.
Well, I think it's not out yet.
Yeah, they've just delayed that, but I hoped we'd get one. Also on the list is Porsche. Porsche is still selling just the Taycan, but we know that from a recent episode, the Macan's going on sale soon. Yeah. So that should bump those numbers. So that's it.
Okay.
That's that list. Those sales numbers come late. Again, Tesla still rules the roost, but they're giving up market share.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to be really curious what this list looks like in November and December post-election, because I think that there's a rush right now to buy electric vehicles potentially before incentives go away. And so I'll be very curious to see how things change and how sales change in the next couple of months. That's a big deal. And I think EV sales will go up because of that. And then additionally, I want to know what comes, and we'll never see the market research on this, and we'll never see the demographics, but what's coming of Tesla buyers. I think politically, a lot of people are demotivated to buy Tesla products right now because of the association with Donald Trump, which has become very political. Right. It's very highly charged. But you could argue people are becoming more motivated to buy Teslas because of the association. It's entirely possible that people who once didn't like them. However, Donald Trump is maintaining his anti-EV stance, so it's all very confusing. He wants to shut down funding for the charging stations. He wants to take away the EV tax credit and take away credits for all the manufacturing that's going on right now for EV plants and like the battery plants. One last weird battery plant thing real quick. I think we talked about this last week, but maybe not. Okay. General Motors had 4 battery plants in the works. Okay. I don't remember talking about this. Okay. They gave up on one. Okay. So they have 3 plants that are definitely going to happen. The 4th was going to be a joint venture with LG. Okay. The South Korean battery maker. Mm-hmm. And they've decided to sell their interest in that back to LG. LG was happy to do it because they think they have customers for those batteries. So that gives you some sense of how much General Motors thinks battery development or EV sales development is going to go. They're not giving up on it, but it's going to slow down. Yeah. All right. Yep. That's all I got, Jill. Okay. All right. Big thanks to Sam Fiorani of AutoForecast Solutions. He's always a font of knowledge. Thank you, Jill. Thank you to Randy and the good folks here at TalkZone. We'll talk more about cars next week.
Remember to check us out at consumerguide.com.
The Car Stuff Podcast is produced by J-Turn Media.
To advertise on the show, please drop us a line at carstuff@consumerguide.com.